morning, everyone, and welcome to our online meeting in this beautiful Sunday. Hopefully everybody is in peace as well, everybody's taking care of yourselves. Keep safe and health. And thank you again for joining us. So I would like to touch base with all of you about our reflective study of Spiritism that happens online every Sunday from 10 to 11. So it just finished. It's about the book What is Spiritism? And this is a very, very useful book for not only for the adherents of the doctrine, but also for those that want to understand a little bit better what is Spiritism. So the book has 3 chapters, and on the first chapter, Kardec talks about, actually it's composed of dialogues between Kardec and some critics, where Kardec attempts to respond all their questions. On the second chapter, that is the chapter that we are studying right now, we are reflecting about the practical aspects of the science. It's a kind of a summary of the medium's book. It's very, very interesting. Treats subject as mediumship and the communication with the spirits. And the third chapter is a short synthesis of the Spirit's book. So for those that wants to understand a little bit better the Spiritist doctrine, you are welcome to join us during this time that we are having the social distancing. We are doing these online meetings every Sunday from 10 to 11, and you are very welcome to join us and learn a little bit more about this beautiful doctrine. So thank you. Let's move on. Let me see what's going on here. Sorry guys, just 1 second please. I'm not very good with technologies. Okay, everything's good now. Thank you for your patience, guys. So, let's start. So, from our daily bread, item number 50, save yourself. Go and sin no more. The precious seed that you do not care for can be lost. The young tree that you fail to protect is open to destruction. The spring that you do not look after could dry up. The water that you fail to release may become a swamp. The fruit that you do not eat becomes spoiled. The good earth that you fail to till becomes asphyxiated by useless weeds. The hoe that you do not use becomes rusty. The flowers that you fail to cultivate do not always rebloom. The friend you do not keep avoids your path. The medication whose proper dosage you do not abide by will not benefit you physically. The same applies to divine grace. If you do not guard the blessings from on high, respecting them within you, if you do not utilize the elevated knowledge that you have received for the benefit of your own happiness, if you do not appreciate the contribution that has come down to you from above, then the dedication of spirit messengers is of no value to you. In vain will they perform miracles of love and patience in solving your problems, because without the cooperation of your will in the regenerative process, all their saving measures will be futile. Go and sin no more. Jesus' teaching is expressive and sufficient. The divine physician provides the cure. But if we do not keep it within us, no one can foresee the extent and consequences of the new imbalances that will besiege our lack of vigilance. Let's pray. Dear Jesus, we are here all together once again to reflect upon your teachings. Your teachings that guide us towards God and towards our happiness. Help us, dear Jesus, to strengthen our will, to make efforts to develop the virtues inside ourselves in order to follow your steps towards God, to help us evolve, to become better persons for the good of our own selves. Thank you, God, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. And thank you all the spirituality that are here with us to help us to reflect and to find our own way to follow, to comply with the divine laws developing virtues. So be it. All right. Thank you again. So we prepared these reflections today upon Jesus' words. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So how does Jesus' words help me to gradually overcome my inner conflicts? So that's what we are all invited to reflect about, how we are coping with ourselves, with our inner conflicts lately or during all our lives, and how love our neighbors can help us love ourselves, and then we'll be able to overcome our challenges in life. So that's the proposal today, and I also would like to ask you to do some self-reflections about some questions that I'm going to show you right now. So let's reflect. So close your eyes and focus in your essence and try to answer those questions with sincere heart. How am I coping with my inner conflicts? Do I see them as punishment or something that I can learn from? Are challenges in life causing my suffering? How do I deal with it? Based on the principle that I am a spiritual being experiencing human life, how do I feel this reality? Do I feel that I am a immortal spirit having a human life? And how Jesus and Spiritism can help us to understand and cope with our inner conflicts causes. Okay, so let's start our reflections then. All right, so how self-conflict or inner conflict can happen? So here we have an illustration of that kind of show how the inner conflict happens. So here we have, So here we have one person trying to go to one direction and another one trying to go to the other direction. But these actually happens inside of ourselves. So these two people are just one, just myself, with two desires inside myself and opposed to each other. In a very high overview, what does it mean is inner conflict is the result of two opposing motivations inside one person. So self-conflicted motivations may be based on conflicting beliefs or conflicting needs. So let's try to get an example of how this works, how this happens. So let's say that I am at home, I'm watching a movie, and then a family member come and ask me to do a favor, to help him or her to clean the house. But I'm watching a movie. I don't want to do the cleaning right now, but this person, she needs my help. So inside myself, I have this conflict. I don't want to go, but I would be selfish if I don't go. And I want to help, but I don't want to help right now. And what am I going to do? I have this situation. It's very simple example, but just to illustrate a little bit better. So we understand that we have in ourselves a deep feeling that a desire or a will that wants to help. We want to be there in case someone needs us. We have this deep inside us. Everybody has. And then when this conflict happens, when we don't want to do something, or when we have negative feelings about a situation or about somebody, we have like in our conscious a voice advising us, hey, you should go. Hey, you should do that. You should be more helpful. And then we have this voice telling us what we should do, and there is this feeling, this negative feeling that prevents us to go and do something or to act towards that in a positive way towards that situation. So this is just a simple example, but there are other very hard ones out there. Some people that have addictions, for instance, they don't want to use drugs, but they have this necessity, this need, and they deep inside they know that this is not right, this is not good for them, but they have hard times to resist. So like I said, in a very high overview, and you can search for that a little bit better in our books from Spiritizar. There are so many ones that treats about these issues, this I want to do, but what deep inside I don't want to do, and what I need to do. So this is the book where I got the most of the reflections that we are talking today. I forgot to say before. So the name is in English is Without Charity There is No Salvation, but we don't have this book in the English version yet, but we have in Portuguese here for sale and in our books, in our library. If you want to get a little bit more details about what we're going to talk today, I really highly recommend. So as I was saying, there are so many psychologists that come and talk to us about these inner conflicts. And the one or the main one that brought this up was Jung. And Jung, he said that the self, that it's our essence, that we all have inside. And what is essence? Our essence. Our essence is how we were created. We were created in the image and in the likeness of God. So, what we are? As Jesus said, we are love, because God is love. So if you're created in the image and the likeness of God, we are love. So we have inside us this essence that is love. And we also have the ego. Ego, it's not a negative thing. We don't need to look at our ego as our enemies. Actually, ego was very useful for us a long time ago, when we need to preserve our lives, and if you're not selfish, or if you are not somehow aggressive, you could not survive. But those times are far away behind us, and now we are invited to enlighten the ego, to control the ego. And how we do that? using our inner self, using our self to control our ego. And we're going to talk more about that during all the talks today. So, we are invited to do what? To connect ourselves with our sense, with our egos. So when we act accordingly with our essence, with our soul, we normally, or we do good towards ourselves and to others. So how this, as this now is explained a little bit, I would like to ask, this is a short-term process, and is this easy? No, it's not. It's a constant process in our lives, and require, for us, lots of efforts, repeatedly efforts, continuously efforts. So, and now, mostly these days that we are living now, we are facing so many struggles in life. We are living unprecedented times. We all know that. And there is so much fear outside, so much anxiety, because we cannot foresee how things will be tomorrow or next year or next month. And this brings us lots of anxiety because of the uncertainty that we are living now. Many people lost their jobs, and how an expression very common here is, they cannot bring home the bacon, and they are concerned. On the top of all this, the normal inner conflicts that we carry on within us in the normal days, now we have all this situation that is overwhelming everybody. So when we don't have these beliefs in spirituality, when we don't have any religion or any faith, this is really hard. It's a tremendous hard times for everybody. Tremendous challenge. And many people start asking, what's the purpose of life? Why do I need to pass through all this? If I am gonna die and it's everything done, so nothing's gonna happen after that. So with this materialistic view is really, really hard. When we have a faith that everything has a purpose to happen, and that we are here for some reasons, and we are passing through all these situations because those are opportunities for us to learn, how this changes all the perspective, all our view of the facts, what is happening today in our society, in our families, in ourselves. So with this state of mind that we are here for a reason, that makes us think that we are not human beings only experiencing spiritual lives. I'm not here because I have a faith and I am a human being, and I'm here talking about Spiritism and Jesus experiencing a spiritual life. I'm here because I am a spiritual being experiencing a human life. And this brings so much light to ourselves. How this helped me to cope with my challenging situations. So, if you think that we are travelers in space and in time, that we have a long journey in front of us, beyond, and we came from a long journey. We have, if we think that we have the eternity to grow, so everything that we are passing through is temporary. So if you think that this what we are passing through now, we are going to be over tomorrow or next year, and I have learned something from this situation. This brings us some motivation and some understanding about what is going on, a positive way to see the situation that we are passing through. It's all temporary. We are gonna be able to pass through this, to overcome all this situation, if we keep our minds positive, if we keep our minds connected with our spiritual friends, and trying to understand the challenges that we are passing through. What's the bright side of it? How can I learn from it? I'm sure you're going to be better at the end. You're going to be stronger, and you're going to be better people in so many ways. So, having this in mind, that we are immortal spirits, that will help me to see that whatever I am facing right now, currently in my life, it's temporary. Everything, it cycles, that I am invited to learn from the challenges and from the motivations, lessons. That I am apprentice of life. That will help me to see the same challenges as lessons to learn. I'm apprentice, so I'm here to learn. So what can I learn from this? To be open for the lesson. And above all, we are all God's children. So this will help me to know that we are not alone. God is there for us through our spiritual friends and through our guardian angels, the benevolent spirits that are there for us, that have been there for us forever. So this knowledge for sure brings us some consolation, and that is the mission of the Spiritism. This is the mission that the doctrine of the spirits is entitled to bring consolation and clarification to ourselves, to understand where you come from, what we're doing here, and where we're going to. So we have all the resources to strive and to reach our goals. Okay, and if this is the mission of the Spiritism, what more that Spiritism can teach us, can tell us how to, so we can cope a little bit better with all the challenges that we have in life. So, Jesus, we can find in John chapter 8, verse 32, Jesus' words that says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." So what does it mean when Jesus says, "Make you free"? So, and what is the truth? The truth are the divine laws. We all know that, but it's only the divine truths and how they will make us free. But there is another truth that we are invited to know. It's our own truth. So we are invited to investigate them, both truths, with questions, in which questions of the Spirit's book we can find more clarifications about that. So there is one that I always like to bring it up, because it's a very significant question from the Spirit's book that leads us to so many answers, to so many questions that we have. It's the 115 that says, that Kardec asks to the benevolent spirits, to superior spirits, the following question: are some spirits created good and others bad? How God creates us? How does God create us? Because God still creates, right? So the answer from the superior spirits is this one: God created all spirits simple and anywhere, meaning lacking of knowledge. So we were created simple, without any knowledge. God has given them each a particular mission to enlighten them and help them gradually reach perfection through the knowledge of the truth and rise closer to Him. So here then we see knowledge of the truth. We are invited through our mission, enlighten ourselves through the knowledge of the truth. And then the answer has a little bit more here. In that perfection, they will find eternal bliss without any troubles. Spirits acquire knowledge by experiencing the trials inflicted by God. While some accept these trials with resignation and arrive at their destiny more quickly, others are defeated and remain far from the perfection and happiness promised to them through no fault other than their own. So what can we reflect about this answer that is so much, so significant? So we are here. So if God creates us simple in anywhere, so we're lacking of knowledge, we are here to learn. So we don't need to feel guilty if we did some mistake or if we have inner conflicts, because this is natural in our level. We are, like I said before, apprentices of life. And our mission is know the truth, the divine laws. We are here to understand the divine laws, to understand how they work, how they guide us towards God. For what? Happiness promised by God to those that, with resignation, accept these trials and learn from them. So we are all live in a planet of trials and expiations. We are all in the same level of learning. We are all students of the same school, the same level. And we are here to learn with each other and to learn from the experiences that we are passing through. And that what says here, spirits acquire knowledge by experiencing the trials inflicted by God. Why inflicted by God? Well, this is another whole story, but just to have a very an understanding about that is, when we are discarnated and we are planning a new reincarnation, we ask for such and such experience, that you bring us the opportunities to develop a virtue that we are required to develop, because that virtue will help us to be happier. So when we are incarnated, we are passing through some experiences that we have asked, that we have asked to our guardian angels, to the superior spirits, to help us to pass through. They are here to help us. They are all the times by our sides. But it's up to us to face that challenges with resignation or not. Because we have another divine law here, that is the free will. We will do whatever we want to do. Depends on us. The right of choice is ours. But we all know that we accept with resignation, and we accept to deal with our challenges, with our inner conflicts, with love and with compassion. We are able to feel the happiness, a little bit of the happiness that God promised to us. So this represents also our mission. So the mission that, the purpose, that means the purpose that we are here. The purpose that we are here is the mission. That we are here to develop virtues, to comply with the divine laws, and then we evolve as immortal spirits. And we do that towards the knowledge of the truth with resignation. And again, this is gradually we are going to reach the perfection. It's not something that we're going to reach right now. It's not something that I can say, okay, now I'm going to be more patient, and that's how this works. No. It's not like this. We need to make efforts day by day to be better and better, to acquire a little bit more patience during all the challenge, during all our days with ourselves and with others. So, where we can find this knowledge? Well, we can find this knowledge summarized in the Gospel of Jesus Christ. And Jesus not only talked about the divine laws, he performed the virtues that are connected with each divine laws. He provides us examples how to use, how to be better, how to comply with that divine laws. Spiritism also brings us the Spirit's book that brings lots of answers and clarifications about the divine laws. There is a chapter that talks only about the divine laws, the chapter 3. And what else we can learn how to know the truth. So in the Spirit's book, the question 621, we can see a question and an answer that is very straightforward. Where is God's law written? In the conscience. So all of us have deep inside in our conscience all the divine laws. They are written there. And recalling what I said before, when we are debating what we should do and what we shouldn't do, the voices of our conscience is telling us you should do that and not do this. So these are the laws, the divine laws in our conscience advising us what we should do. And we are invited to know the divine laws in 3 dimensions. To know, feel, and to live. to know through the investigation how this and this law work, how works, how these divine laws, how can I comply with that? How can I be more, for instance, the law of the law of love. How can I be more loving? How can I provide more love to myself and to others? To feel. When we start learning, investigating through the gospel or through the Kardec books or the Spiritism books, and through other books that we have in our book club that talks a lot about divine laws, we start understanding a little bit better all those laws, and then we start feeling. We start feeling how that law is touching my heart. So then we start living. So it's through our thoughts, we're thinking, reading, researching about that laws, thinking about them. So I start feeling deep inside, and then I start doing. So that's how it works. How it looks a very simple process, but demanding from us efforts that will make us feel free and feel better. So why not? Why not we trying to be more, to try to learn more for our better, for our good. So, and how about to know our own truth? So St. Augustine in the chapter 12 from the Spirit's book, question 919, item A, he says that self-knowledge is therefore the key to individual improvement. So I, again, highly recommend to go to this question in the Spirit's book. And it's a very long answer from St. Augustine, but he provides us very good examples how he used to do when he was incarnated, how he found a way to know himself a little bit better. But as a very quick guideline, I would like to just remember or recall that I had this talk a couple of maybe months ago, where we talk about self-knowledge, and just a quick reminder how we do that through the self-questioning. Why I'm feeling like that? Why I have this negative feeling? Why this is bothering me? And towards the answers that should be very sincere. Otherwise, this process will not work. And remember, we are dealing with ourselves, so we are supposed to tell ourselves the truth. So, through the self-questioning, we start self-knowledging us. We start the process of self-knowledge. We start knowing ourselves a little bit better, day by day. And then we start the process of, this I can control now a little bit better, because I know a little bit better myself. I know how I react to this and this situation. And then my self-transformation process starts. So this is a quick view of how this self-knowledge works. But of course, it's a much more complex process. It's not that easy, it's not that fast like I'm showing here. This is just quick review of what we talked about in our self-knowledge lecture. But we can touch base on that more often. We are going to touch base on that more often, and maybe this process can we can have more answers for this, because it's a process that is, again, is something that is continuously. It's not something that I have done today and it's done. No, this is something that I need to do over and over and over again. So, and about everything that we talked here, there is a law, or there is a very significant law that help us to comply with all the other laws. It's the major law. The law of love, charity, and justice. This it's a very significant law, and I would like to bring it up because this law remit us to the beginning of our conversation. What Jesus said about love, you should love your neighbors as yourself, has to do with this law. Actually, all the virtues and all the other laws, they are connected with this. This is a law that is the huge umbrella, and all the other laws are under these umbrellas. So, by complying with these laws, we are complying with all the other ones. And when Jesus said, when in our beginning of our conversation, I said that Jesus' words will help us to find a solution for our inner conflicts. This is the principle that is part of this law. And which part exactly? The charity. The charity, it's the summary. The Jesus' words is the summary of this law. And this is also the principle of the Spiritism doctrine. Without charity, there is no salvation. Express the strength and the presence of pure Christianity within the Spiritism doctrine. All of Jesus' morals are summed up in charity and humility. Nice. It's good to know that practicing the charity, we are complying, or we are expressing the pure Christianity. But how can we do that to ourselves? How this can help us to deal with our inner conflicts? How to save ourselves? Because as we have been studying in our Monday's studies, we cannot save anybody. We only can save ourselves. And how we do that? Loving our neighbors. So, sure. But can I love my neighbor without loving myself? Can I give to others what I don't have? This is something that I would like to reflect with you again, guys. And another question is from the Spirit's book 886, where Kardec asks, what is the true meaning of the word charity as used by Jesus? Benevolence for everyone, indulgence towards the imperfections of others, and forgiveness of offenses. So, this is what we are invited to do. This is how Jesus used to do when he was here with us. He performed all these verbs, and he still does that. He still provides us with the same benevolence, with the same indulgence, and with the same forgiveness. He is constantly inviting us to comply with this law, the charity. So let's pause a little bit to reflect about this very significant answer. What is to love your neighbors? What is to love? Doesn't matter what they do or who they are. Are we able, in our current states and our level of evolution, we are able to love our neighbors as ourselves? Do we love ourselves? Under a few conditions, maybe I can love my neighbor if he is behaving himself, or if he doesn't bother me, or if he doesn't do anything bad to me. And I can do that to myself as well. So unconditionally. Are we able to do that? Can we develop this virtue? Because it's actually possible to love our neighbors as ourselves. So most of us sincerely can answer these questions as I still cannot. And that's perfect, fine. We are still apprentices of life. We are still learning. We are still striving to develop the virtues in ourselves. But this is a process that should be lighter, should be full of joy and contentment, because we are in the right pathway towards God, because we know that we are making efforts to become better people. So it's still not possible to answer all these questions as with yes, I can do it, because we are still candidates to be benevolence. We are not superior spirits yet. And even as a superior spirits, we would be striving to, with some virtues yet. Only the pure spirits as Jesus are able to say yes to all those questions. And how we develop this virtue? So, to love myself and love my neighbor. As we have been talking all this time, it's a process that is slowly and continuously. It's a process that we are invited to investigate the divine laws, to know how they work, to understand how they work in our lives, and which virtue we are invited to develop towards each law, how we perform that in our lives, in the lives of towards others. So it's a long process. It's nothing that we can acquire right here, right now, but we are in this journey all together to help each other, to support each other. And that brings us so much light to our hearts, so much happiness. We start feeling the happiness that God promised to us on the question 115. If you are sincere, if you are really deep inside wishing to get there, to reach the knowledge and to have our mission accomplished. So, moving forward, let's try to see what really means each of those verbs that we found in the question 86, benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness. Let's try to study a little bit better this. It's very fast. It's almost time to finalize, but I just would like to talk a little bit about this. So, benevolence for everyone. Do good in every circumstance to best of our abilities. That's the meaning of benevolence for everyone. But let's keep our attention to everyone. What does it mean? I am invited to do good to the best of my abilities, to myself included, to everyone, myself included. So, and what is the best of our abilities? We have on this the question 6042 in the Spirit's book, where Kardec asks to the superior spirits, is it enough to simply not to do what is evil in order to please God and to ensure our future happiness? So, if I don't do anything bad, it's okay? And the answer is no. We must do good to the best of our abilities. Each of you will have to answer for all the evil that has resulted from the good that you have failed to do. So, again, that's what we are invited to do the best, to do good to the best of our abilities. And we are going to see, you are going to be able to do this right now? No. We are still trying to do the best of our abilities. And if this is the best of my ability right now, that's great. Tomorrow, I can do a little bit better. And repetition, again, is the mother of all learning. If you keep repeating, if you keep doing, we are going to be stretching this best of our abilities more and more and more. And we'll be also accomplishing with our mission, that is, know the truth and with resignation face our trials and expiations in life, the opportunities that we have to learn. How about indulgence? Indulgence towards the imperfections of others. Just would like to call the attention of you regarding indulgence. Here there is another concept about indulgence. There is a self-indulgence, that you give something to yourself, something like material, or something that you please me, because I am giving to myself a gift because I performed very well this and this job. In this case, indulgence, it's much more than that. Indulgence is to be, is to look to the imperfections of others, knowing that we also have imperfections, and we are here to support each other. So in the indulgence is practice towards ourselves and toward the others throughout self-knowledge, like I said, knowing our own truth, self-acceptance, self-loving, self-respect, and then we are going to reach the self-transformation. And all these steps is, we can just summarize in just one: self-embracement. To look ourselves as apprentices of life, and that we are here to deal with our imperfections with indulgence, as well with our neighbors. And when we are practicing the benevolence to everyone and the indulgence towards the imperfections of myself and the perfections of others, naturally we are practicing the forgiveness. Because if we don't practice the benevolence and the indulgence, we cannot practice the forgiveness. We probably can say that, yeah, I'm practicing the forgiveness, I forgive everybody, but if I don't forgive myself, if I don't practice that virtue, those two virtues, benevolence, indulgence, I cannot forgive myself. So remember, we will do to others what we do to ourselves. And this is very, very true. We are invited to practice all the virtues, comply with all the laws, first of all within ourselves. Then we can share with our brothers and sisters that are passing through for the same trials and expiations that we are. So I'm invited to be more loving, charitable, and just to myself and to others. And this is very important to help us to deal with our inner conflicts. Because when we are benevolent with ourselves, trying to look ourselves or in our imperfections, being indulgent, and see that we are apprentices of life, that all this that we are passing through is temporary, and we are here to learn how to deal with all these challenges, and we have all the resources to cope really better, really good, because we have the material resources and the spiritual resources, all the superior spirits, our guardian angel that help us with advices, with inspirations, that brings us so much consoling, so much motivation and help to know that we are not alone, that we are able to pass through all this situation because we are God's children and we are never alone. So I just would like to leave you with this recommendation to be more loving, charitable, and just in these times, not only to others, but to ourselves either. We need to be stronger. We need to have all these feelings to share. We cannot go to others if you don't have that to us. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully you have learned something from our reflections today. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post on our in our Instagram or in our Facebook or in our WhatsApp. Well, thank you very much, Eric, for your comment. In the book, Jonah D'Angeli says, love completes the being, helping us to overcome problems once they lose their meaning before love's greatness. It means for me that love overcomes everything. Yes, for sure. For sure, love overcomes everything. And let's love ourselves. Okay, so let's finalize our meeting with our hearts full of gratitude for being here, for being able to reflect about so profound words, so profound teachings from Jesus. You shall love yourself, your neighbors as yourself. Let's develop this beautiful virtue, this significant and important virtue in our hearts. Dear Jesus, help us with our struggles in life. Help us to find peace that we are looking for in your arms. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being always, or have been always with us. Thank you for all spirituality that support us and help us. And thank you all you that are here with me, reflecting and trying to learn a little bit more. That you guys, that everybody has a very good Sunday with lots of love in your hearts. Thank you, everyone. So be it. Water?